And get in some perspective. Milind Sarwate as well joins in on the phone line. Milind, morning. My colleague Mubina Kapasi just did the deal math for us, but is it really in the best interest of shareholders?
I think it is in the best interest of shareholders because it brings in focus, first of all, which was not the case earlier. I think the consumer business was probably getting somewhere lost in the overall chemical ambience of TCL. So it will get placed with a much more consumer focused business of Tata Global Beverages, now Tata Consumer Products. The God is, however, is in details, and it depends on how the execution will be actually implemented in the coming days. Because while Tata Consumer is going to start with food and beverages, it is definitely having plans of extending into household and personal care products. That is what has been announced. And the two channels are different. The food channel is different and the HPC, household personal care channel, is different. So while this particular business comes with a lot of advantages, for example, the capital employed in the foods business stays with Tata Chemicals because there is no separate factory for Tata Salt, which is the primary product. As a result, the business comes to Tata Consumer without a lot of capital employed along with it. So I think it will be EPS attractive at the current level, but for it to stay EPS attractive, they will have to put in a lot of efforts to get growth out of this category.
Mr. Sarwate, good morning. Nikunj also joining in. Some would also argue and say that, look, Tata Global Beverages, in a sense, has been a lost consumer company. They had an iconic brand called Tata Tea, and then they messed up by acquiring Tetley. The return ratios are poor. They don't have good brands, and they are trying to reboot themselves, but it's not going to happen in next 24 months or 36 months. Creating a consumer brand, you know it more than anyone else, is difficult. And whatever Tata Global Management or Tata is trying to attempt, it's a good attempt, but it's going to be at least 2 or 3 years before we see the new avatar of Tata Global Beverages or Tata Consumer now.
I agree. However, we have to keep in mind that this is a well thought out move. It's not something which has happened overnight. If you see the track of the past, say, 12 to 18 months, Tata Global Beverages has realized that India is a much larger market as far as beverages and foods are concerned. The food market in India is almost 6 lakh crores. So it's a very large and growing market. So while India was only about 45% of their turnover and overseas was 55%, they have streamlined the overseas business and put it under one roof. And they have brought in their back office to India. So there is a greater focus to India. And I think the Tata Chemicals business being merged with Tata Consumer Products is a move towards giving much more focus to India. I think that's a very sensible move because India is the larger and growing market. And therefore, I feel this focus and alignment will take them to greater heights. I agree with you that it will take time because they are almost building from a scratch as regards the HPC segment. In foods and beverages, they have a presence, but not so much in personal care. And I agree that it's not possible to set up a large FMCG company overnight. But I feel that the group is now operating with a lot of strategic and long-term focus. And that's pretty good for the shareholders.
Right. Just want to understand as to by how long do you believe the overall earnings accretion could kick in and the synergy benefits? It's going to be a long drawn process as well. So do you think over the next, say, 12 to 18 months, we can see that those benefits kick in?
I guess so, because I think the key to the whole integration is how they manage the distribution synergy. There are distributors of Tata Global and there are some distributors of Tata Chemicals. Tata Chemicals also has a distribution line which is based on somewhat non-FMCG like the Rallies network, etc. All this will have to be put together into a unified distribution network for Tata Consumer. Towards that, the relationship with the dealers, what I would call trade equity, Tata has a good equity as an overall corporation. It has to translate that into a greater trade equity. On marketing and on FMCG thinking, talent, also they'll have to make some moves because the beverages business is relatively lower on the value chain as of now. The foods business is relatively higher on the value chain, aspirationally at least. So they will need to focus on demand creation and on distribution. I think this should take them 12 to 18 months. So EPS accretion should be possible going forward in FY21, latter part of FY21.
Thanks very much, Milind, for giving us your take.